My name's Tony, and I'll just give a quick perspective on remote bridge. I play in Darwin. I won't bore you to death with the absurd structure of the game in Darwin, beyond saying that we've really only got sort of 4 or 5 half-decent pairs in the city. So if we want to play bridge, we've either got to shell out vast sums of money to come to a congress like this, which some of us do from time to time, or we play online. And the few of us that do want to play bridge do play online and thoroughly enjoyed it. I've always been online. I was an enormous supporter of fun bridge a long time ago and have been all the way through. The other thing I'd say is that the element in the room that we're all ignoring, and I'm sure we'll continue to ignore, is that the average age of the members of the ABF, I think, is in the order of 72. I'm not sure, I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not sure what the drop-off rate is, but I'm quite sure over the next 5 years or so will be considerably more than the uptake of the young people that are not joining in droves. I don't know, I have no answer to what we're going to do about that, but unless we do, the issue of online versus clubs isn't really going to crop up because there'll be nobody playing. The other thing I would say is sort of part to that is that in Darwin there are 2 groups of players. One is the affiliated with the ABF mob, and the other is the social club. And the social club are not affiliated. They get more tables a week than the other 2 clubs put together. They play 3 sessions of 2 hours a pop. During the day, 15 boards, and they all have lunch and a wonderful time. And they all laugh at these idiots that go along to the Darwin Bridge Club and take life seriously. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jane Randall. I'm from Little Old Rockhampton. What I first would like to do is say thank you to the ABF team who, from the beginning and to the current time, who have just been excellent in the way that they've managed and organised the online bridge for us. They made it easy for little places like us to actually run our own sessions and to form our own little club, and always answered any issues and problems really timely. So I must say I just appreciate all the team that works with online bridge. I still run my little session and basically run it for those who do work, because the only time they can play at our club is on a Saturday, and most people who work don't want to give up their weekend. So the only time they can play is online. People who are having chemo, who are unable to come out and mix with the club groups, play it even if they're at Royal Brisbane. Having their treatment, they'll actually play at our little club. And there are some people who are getting old and now have limited their number of sessions at the club. But I think not to have that opportunity for them would be absolutely so sad, and I most certainly would like to keep my little club going. I'd also like to see a list that you could go onto the ABF website and see what clubs really are running sessions and what times their sessions are, so that anyone can just log in and think, oh, I might have a game of bridge online today, I'll see what club is running one. Because we have visitors. I've got regulars from England who play regularly in our little club, and they just enjoy it. It's pleasant, and there's no hassle for them. It's only a couple of hours, and I really think that online bridge has to be given a platform, and we need to also promote it just the same as we promote our face-to-face bridge. So I enjoy running my session, and I play on step, and I play in a swan over in America as well. And I totally enjoy meeting those people, which I'd never had the opportunity to do. So I do hope that the ABF will continue the wonderful work they're doing well into the future. Thanks.
Anyone else? Oh, here we go, we've got a clump.
Hello, the point, my name's Midge, I'm from Redcliffe Bridge Club, north of Brisbane. The point has been alluded to before, but for people who care for others, there are very little choices available for attending face-to-face bridge. And certainly online bridge has been the only access that they have. If you think about these players too, and most people do in this room, who are novices or restricted players, they're never going to improve because they will go to a club maybe once every fortnight, whenever they can get a carer in to look after the person they're caring for. So just the convenience of it is phenomenal if you're looking after someone with a disability or caring for others. The other point too is the timing. I think everyone here is very aware of the timing of online bridge. You know, when you lead an incredibly busy life, you understand completely that you're in a 2-hour, 20-minute session. So you can arrange your day, you can book carers, you can book appointments, you can do whatever you wish to do because you've got that timeline that's available to you. So the convenience of it is amazing. From my perspective, I know cheating has been mentioned on a number of occasions. Look, to be honest, I completely agree with the comments at the start. It may be there, but it's blown, in my view, it's blown out of proportion. It really is. Most people who play bridge to enjoy it, and if they're keen, to improve continuously. And I think online bridge gives you that facility, whereas often face-to-face bridge at the club does not, because you simply can't make it there at the given times. Thank you.
Paul from Victoria. I agree with everything said so far, and the only thing I wanted to add is we've got a lot of people who work who prefer, and I said, right, we'll go back to Monday night bridge because you work. They said, no, I'd rather come home, have tea while I'm playing bridge online. I don't want face-to-face anymore. So same as everybody else, people aren't coming out at night. My other point is our Monday nights, there are half, say, of 8 tables, there's half who don't play online and they want to go back Monday nights. We've got half that play online who don't want to go back face-to-face. Now, I'm trying to figure out if I can play 2 sessions, one online, one face-to-face. Is there some way we can have, as other people have mentioned, some sort of list of clubs? I can do a hybrid, I can use the same boards, but if I get 3 tables online and 5 or if I get the other way, it's worse, 5 online and 3 at the club, it's at Staples. But if there was somewhere that had a list of games on whatever nights, but had it like social club bridge and then competitive, and said, right, the people who play in our club like it because the club atmosphere, even online. They don't want to go playing, real high standard anywhere else. But there's nowhere where you can say, oh, look, this week we're going to have in the hall, you can maybe play online and they all go there or something. And that's, to me, where we are trying to get both working somehow. And if we had enough people online to play that one, then we can concentrate on getting people in and have 2 sessions or a hybrid where we know we're going to have enough people both to play. The rest of the daytime, that's going fine face-to-face again, but as I said, the online is just so easy to set up and run, and people love just being able to have their tea and sit there and turn the camera off. So it's something to think about.
Good. Thank you.
Fast forward to the wind and take it on. If I can, there we go. I guess one solution to Paul's problem perhaps is just to trying to make it easy for clubs, and they don't really have to be geographically close, just to team up on the same evening. So you've got a one bigger group rather than lots of tiny little groups. So that's, but the other streams of course mentioned, of course, is hybrid, which has been done.
Yes.
So I think that's the reason I did fill this survey in, and I did attach this stuff. You please also know I'm not going to read it all out.
We'll read it.
But I'll just sort of pick out a few points. I sort of try and do a little bit of structure here. But well, we all know that online bridge, and I guess in my opinion, real bridge in particular, saved the day with COVID, and it would really be a shame to throw the advances that have been made in the bin. In my long list of advantages and disadvantages, there are probably a few that might be worth mentioning. A sort of rather flippant remark is that an advantage of playing online is that you don't have any chaos and spilled coffee. There's some people squeeze between tables in cramped rooms as they move from one table to another. I guess I would also regard the, particularly Real Bridge, I like Real Bridge a lot. It's, if you like, a stepping stone to the 21st century. I think it would be a bit sort of depressing to think that in decades' time we'll still be using cards. And to me, they're just old-fashioned in a germ transmission device. There is something called Love Bridge, which I'm sure you know about, and I just can't help thinking that using something like that is what should be happening in the future. And Real Bridge is a good way of sort of introducing people to the technology. I guess we've got to acknowledge that a lot of people are IT averse, but I suppose a bit of a risky thing to say, I guess, but a lot of the IT averse people are elderly, and very soon they'll drift away, well not soon, we hope not, drift away into the great GCC in the sky. And that will leave a higher proportion of tech-savvy people around. And so using something like Love Bridge might not be the catastrophe it would be in 5 or 10 years' time as it would be if we tried to do it now. Teaching, we really enjoyed teaching face-to-face. When we were learning, I guess we're learning all the time, but plug for Laura and Mary Elson, we had great lessons with them in Waverley, and we actually we enjoyed just the event. And I think as you become more experienced, perhaps more ad hoc lessons and things are more suited to online, but I think beginners type lessons I think are best done face to face, or a good way of people getting to meet people and form partnerships. I'm starting to read this out now, aren't I? I'll just summarise by giving our personal views. I'm really sort of stealing Mary's thunder here perhaps a bit as well. But for us, sorry about this, Paul, it's not a dig, but to us, bridge isn't necessarily, or club bridge, isn't a social event. It's not like bowls. I mean, we used to play bowls, and there's a lot of standing around doing nothing in bowls. So you've got a lot of time to talk to people and make friends. With bridge, you sit down, shut up and play bridge and get out. So it's not a particularly sociable event. We tend to regard club bridge as practice.
Oh, it's a disagreement from the back.
Yeah. We stay for drinks afterwards. We have found that after bridge now, everyone sits around and has a drink. And everyone puts in $12 and the whole tables. So it's becoming the face-to-face has become a real social experience.
Yeah, real social.
Oh, well,
And which is,
There
it
you go.
didn't happen before, but
Yeah.
it has happened now.
Yeah.
Okay, right, well,
If you went to the Otago Bridge Club in Dunedin, they actually have a liquor license.
Oh, right. What night are they on? So, yeah, so we tend to regard club bridge as practice for congresses, and I guess as far as congresses are concerned, I mean, you can't beat this event, and you could imagine doing this event online. But there are a lot of routine congresses which are exactly that, the routine, and they could be done online. And so we enjoy going to congresses where it's like a nice holiday, it's a nice venue, lots of nice bars and restaurants. There are some congresses, I can name them if you like, that we just don't go to because the venue's not good and it's not a holiday, so we just don't go. So I think I've probably said more than I intended to say.
Can
So
I
I'll
just
stop
add
now.
one little thing, just when you say that?
What?
When our games finish, sometimes I can't turn it off for an hour because the people are sitting there chatting online because they don't see each other during the week.
Yeah.
So they just sit there talking online because they either live far away or they don't go out anymore.
And we do the same thing, and we get a glass of wine and have a
Yeah,
chat
and-
online and everything.
So I leave it running, I just leave it
What
sitting there.
platform are you using?
Realbridge.
You don't have to turn it off, you can just go home. You don't have to.
No, well, I leave it, no, I've got to close the session and all that.
You don't
At some
close the
stage,
session.
well, I've got to do the scores and all that sort of stuff. So I do all that and then I just leave it running. And yeah, an hour or 2 hours later, they're still chatting away face to face through the camera. And
Do you listen in?
no. I'm watching TV, I'm watching the cricket.
Not the cricket, you can't watch the cricket today, that's for sure.
So, yeah, so it works both ways, I think.
Good.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah, please do.
In playing, just to add what Steve said, in playing
Take your
online
mask
bridge,
off, Mary.
we have met.
Mary, take your mask off.
Mask, so we can hear you.
Oh, I get COVID.
No, you're right.
We playing online. We have met so many nice people, and we've just made lots of friends all over the country, not just in Australia, New Zealand, UK, and we've kept in touch. And it's great because there are people even here today who we've met online and we've met them here for the first time,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
And we're playing together in Adelaide and we wouldn't have even
And we
known.
would never do that.
Right.
And so the online bridge has opened up bridge for us amazingly. And I think that online bridge is an amazing opportunity. A lot of people see online bridge as a threat to face-to-face. It isn't a threat. I think they're not mutually exclusive. They can both exist. But I think online bridge, really, if you want to get more people playing bridge, you want to get youngsters playing, you have to use technology and just get out there and show it to the kids. Show them what bridge is all about. See if they like it.
But maybe they have to learn somewhere. And face-to-face is the perfect place for learning.
No, and we do agree with that.
People don't learn.
But I think that because kids like playing on computers, you'll just get the interest, and then once they're interested, you can get them down to the club, give them lessons, and they'll continue playing. But if you don't get people joining, bridge will just disappear.
You're not getting people.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a few new members, but not, yeah, exactly. It is minuscule.
And that's
I have one question. People have mentioned cheating. I'm convinced that it happens on platforms without audio visual. But with online bridge, the directors have got lots of data available to police it far better than they can face to face. And also they've got less to do because you can't revoke, can't leave their return, can't do all sorts of things. And so there's an opportunity for directors just to step up to the plate and get a handle on it. So, anything else?
Kate's offered to just spend 5 minutes talking about what's happening in New Zealand and their experience. So
So-
you all don't have to turn around, I'll go up the front.
So I mentioned at the start that Kate was here. Kate's been helping us. New Zealand are probably a year ahead of where we are. They've gone through the same process, and Kate's been very helpful in telling us what they're up to. So.
And it's wonderful to hear what all of you think, and I think we've heard everything, the full spectrum of everything that you've said. And, you know, in New Zealand, we started off just with thinking that we should have a big consultation. So we reached out to the bridge community to find out what was happening. And people came from every spectrum. We had responses from novices through to our Emerald Grandmasters, so our top players. And we found a continuum of players from people who are totally online, to people who were face-to-face, and a lot of people at both ends of the spectrum. It was a lot about fear of the unknown or fear of the loss of the form of the game. So we spent a lot of time kind of reassuring and saying at this point in time in New Zealand, and for a long time to come, there's a place for both. There's a place for online to evolve and develop as a game, as a format that channels people to face-to-face where they wish to play face-to-face, sure. And people who wish just to play online, absolutely. And all of the things you've said about being health compromised and working and travelling long distances and all those, absolutely, totally apply. And then at the other end, the people who want to play face-to-face and the clubs, you know, for a lot of the clubs in New Zealand with an ageing membership, a lot of whom do play for social reasons and some of whom also enjoy playing online, many of whom don't, but some players will channel through to online. So we've got sort of a pattern to offer players pathways to play face-to-face and online, just face-to-face, just online. We, at the moment, in 2023, we're in a trial year for our tournaments. So 1 weekend a month, and it's actually this weekend in New Zealand, and then there's 9 more weekends to go. We gave the clubs with tournaments on those weekends the choice of running their tournament online or face-to-face. And what we're doing is we have a tournament like subgroup who are getting feedback from clubs and players on how those weekends go, and that will feed into the strategy for next year. So we're looking to again offer a mix. So on a weekend there'll be both online and face-to-face events for people to choose to play in. We also took 7 of our major regional events and gave the regions and clubs running those the choice to run them online or face-to-face. Last weekend the first of them ran online, and on the first weekend in March the second one runs, and that's running face-to-face. So we're looking to look at numbers, who would have played had it been in the other format, etc., etc. And there's a lot of learning going on, and we're looking to trial different formats so that we can offer a flexible option to everybody that satisfies their bridge needs. Because to the point that all of you have made, it is all about keeping people playing bridge, getting people back to bridge, and getting new people taking up the game. The way we structured it is we had a tournament group, but we also had a teaching and learning group. And I think that the teaching and learning group, which I chaired as well as chairing the main group, we really had debates and the overall strategy very much in line with where all of you are coming from. There's a couple of things just I'd like to mention. One is absolutely the premise, in New Zealand, pretty much every club runs their lessons from March until whenever, face-to-face. And that's fine. And that for a local club is fine. But what the Teaching and Learning Hub felt was that what we needed to do was acknowledge that, the importance of that as a channel into the game, but also look to think about broadening our demographic and offering different pathways into bridge for people who, for reasons of location or their own personal demographic, that might not work for them at all. And to have an online learning strategy alongside that that includes lessons, but includes like tasters for bridge, like mini bridge tasters, so that people who are new to bridge just get the idea of playing cards. People who had lessons but have fallen away from bridge come back and remember the joy of playing cards. So we think the teaching and learning side is one that, you know, we're going to really work through as like a big, big opportunity. And then very much in line with what the ABF is looking at, our third focus was on the resourcing and the revenue, and the supporting clubs who wanted to run events online, supporting director training, supporting all of that kind of thing, and thinking about how you price, if you like, online events, how you support clubs to get that equation right. And it's exciting, it's tremendously exciting. We think having this year as a trial year for a lot of things is very sensible because we're all getting people behind us and taking lots of feedback and just looking to evolve and grow. So fingers crossed, we will keep working together as Australia and New Zealand and supporting one another and really doing what we all want, which is getting more people playing bridge, enjoying it more, facilitating access to bridge for everyone who might wish to play it. And that, at the end of the day, is good. I love online bridge and face-to-face bridge. And at least for now, both have a vital role to play in the future of this wonderful game. And new formats, new platforms, new things can come along, and they will, but at the moment we're in that transition time, and it's important that we have these debates, that we work together, and we just make our game as great as it can be. So that's what we're doing in New Zealand. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, there's... I want to go to the back.
Yeah, it's mostly it was big. They don't use video.
Yeah, we do.
Trent Henderson from Toowoomba. Just to set the scenario, I've probably paid 5,000 to 10,000 times online myself. So not saying that it won't work, but unless you're going to get young people involved, we spent, as 4 directors based out of Toowoomba, trying to actually get online working through video. And at one stage or other, we had 140 of our 320 odd members playing online. That would be less than 20 now in terms of where we are. We would have lost, as a result of that process, at least 50 or 60 people that are now playing kitchen bridge in preference to either online bridge or in an ABF affiliated club. We ran a open day for taking on new students on the 29th of January, and we got 90 new people to come along, 91 to be specific. And we have 35 that are coming on a Thursday night from 7 o'clock, and 35, well, maybe it's 34, 36, whatever, but around those sort of numbers on a Wednesday morning. We're in week 3, so it's early day. Yeah, 2 hours west of here.
You're right.
Yeah, so I personally think and understand my world was IT for 40 years. I've got absolute no restrictions in terms of how this should work, but unless you get the younger population involved, it just doesn't seem to be that easy. And I'm trying not to knock it, I'm just saying that they're the observations that I can make from what we've done. And we tried really, really hard to keep that BBO. I would have 5, 6 people that are doing real bridge stuff, and they love it. Personally played in a couple of the Geelong type things, and there's been, well, in fact, I think last year was totally run online and worked just fine. But not seeing the foot traffic to online, and I think the age of 74 as the average age of the club is indicative of the problem.
How are you attracting the younger ones?
So we're not, I think it's the short answer. I'm the president up there, and we have put 3 pillars in place: acquire, regain and retain. And we are running, the club's paying for it on a monthly basis, where after the last week of the month, whatever the session is, doesn't matter whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or Friday, the nibblies and drinks are on us. And they like that. They're not forking out $5, we don't care, because if you think about it, it's actually not the relevant bit. Keep them interested in that and entertained is what it's all about. But in terms of numbers of young people, I've got 2 that are under 20 in those classes, and we will now target some of the schools. I've got enough people and resources to go and tackle some of the schools. We'll try and make it some sort of school Wednesday afternoon sport tournament. But my focus for the next 12 months was all about ensuring that we got back some of those, because we had closer to 500 pre-COVID to the 312 that we've currently got in terms of membership, and our table numbers on any given day are at 65%. So whatever someone said, they've gone back to 100%. Well done with our table numbers are still 65%.
Thanks for that. Alan, you had your hand up.
I did.
Yeah, so my name's Alan Stone. I play on the Central Coast of New South Wales. I guess there are, 3 points that I want to make relevant to the talking points that you've got. The general feeling here has been a bit very positive about online, and I'm slightly concerned that we've got a sampling bias in the room, and that there should be a few more people, a bit like the last speaker, saying that we need to keep face-to-face alive. Now, I'm very much a believer in online, and I wasn't prior to COVID. I mean, COVID came along and I started playing online and found it was actually more enjoyable than I thought it might have been, because my background's in IT as well, and you know, I did IT at work and that was enough. I'd rather go play face to face. So that's all of that. But the point I want to make about the ABF is that I think it should be taking a hands-off approach with regard to whether we favour face-to-face or favour online or whatever. I think it should be letting the marketplace work that out mostly. So that's one thing. The second thing is, I think the fundamental difference between online bridge and club face-to-face bridge is geography. That is, if you're playing in a club, it draws on people from locally around the club. Once you go online, you attract people from wherever. They simply have to know about the event happening. And someone did mention maybe the ABF could, from an online perspective, be a vehicle for advertising whatever online events are happening. I think that could be a useful facility to provide.
They do on the calendar.
Yeah, they do to some degree.
Only congresses, they don't.
Only congresses.
Club sessions.
Yeah, club sessions are not. But then again, is a club the right organizational structure for running online things? I don't know.
What's the marketplace?
Yeah, you just let the marketplace work it out. But I think that brings us on to congresses, like this event here, right? Someone's already said, you know, you're never going to get this kind of event happening online. And that's true for the really big congresses. For the little congresses, the current way in which Bridge is organised in Australia, as I understand it, is that the state-based bodies decide whether or not your club can run a congress on any given weekend. And the way in which they decide that fundamentally is by geography. If there's no one else competing with you in your area, then you can run a congress. But as I've already said, online bridge is not like that. Once you allow people to run an online congress, they are competing with everybody else right across the country. And so I was very interested in what they were talking about in New Zealand. They seem to be, the central body seems to be asserting that certain weekends can be done online or not. So I think there is some role there for the ABF to play in organising how congresses are done. And I don't know the answer to it, but I think there's a role for the ABF. And then the last thing I want to mention is just what the cheating thing. I think there is little doubt that if you want to cheat, it is probably easier to cheat online than it is to cheat face-to-face. But the biggest concern about Bridge forever has been, if you really want to cheat, they can't really stop you. And the thing about online is we do actually record everything that happens online. The timing of it, the bid you made, the cards you played, we've got all of that information. So if you want to prosecute people for cheating, it happens online. We do prosecute people for cheating online. As far as I'm aware, the ABF or the New South Wales Bridge Association has never prosecuted anybody for cheating. And in fact, even the World Bridge Federation only manages it after major campaigns and lots of expensive investigation. I can assure you, it is actually happening online. We do statistically analyze what's happening. And I'm actually responsible for doing some of the follow-up investigation to query what people are up to. And we have, in fact, prosecuted some people, as in invited them to explain, and then they go away, typically.
Do you report that to the ABF? Because it's like if it's on Step Bridge, you report that to the ABF that's...
Well, at the moment there is no particularly all-encompassing feature like that. However, there has been communication between Stepbridge and the ABF about certain individuals and pairs.
Yeah.
And we prosecuted some people who the ABF knew about, but were never able to prosecute themselves. So,
So what you're saying is, Alan, which is a valid point, that now that online bridge is so strong, you're getting a tremendous amount of data which you wouldn't have got previously, and therefore online cheating is probably under control.
well, I don't know about under control. Like I said before, if you really want to cheat, you can probably do it easier online than you can do it face to face.
But you have to pick it up.
Well, we're more likely to pick it up online.
Yeah,
but if you want to be a sophisticated cheat, I promise you, you can do that online as well.
Right.
But you just need to be a bit more sophisticated about it.
Most people aren't.
And most people aren't, that's right. Most people who are cheating are doing it incidentally. I mean, some people even think, oh, well, this is an opportunity to cheat. That they can't trap us here.
But you do.
We do, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think I covered the main points I wanted to make.
Cool.
Yep.
I'll deliver it for you.
Pass your seat.
Thank you. Good evening. It's been really good to listen. I come from New Zealand. I chair New Zealand Bridge. So I've worked with Kate and her team who've done a lot. And we're spending 2023 testing things. Inevitably, I think we will get some changes through the testing program. But I just wanted to comment about cheating, because I have a philosophy around zero tolerance for cheating. I try to make that abundantly clear to every player. If you're found cheating and we have to go through due process, then this game's not for you, and we don't want you. I think that's important. In terms of the work that we're doing with Real Bridge, we've asked them to improve their diagnostics so they can start. So I'm suggesting any online platform, you want to be working with them to improve their diagnostic tools to help you find if cheating is taking place. You know, we try and remind people we play this game for the love of the game, and if you've got to play it because and cheat to enjoy it, well, people will find out, and you'll soon become not welcome. So that's what we are doing around cheating. As much as we can, and just run a zero tolerance to it. And you encourage people to leave. We've caught one person online cheating. Before we prosecuted him, we had to go through due process. He's left the game. And recently he tried to reapply to a club to join, and it hasn't happened. So the clubs are aware that they just don't need people like that. On the issue of the work you're doing or what the ABF are doing, it's about facilitation. You know, we in New Zealand have a slightly different structure. We don't have your state structure. We have 7 regions which are part of New Zealand Bridge. So we're trying to work collectively and not. And one of the important things is that our clubs are our members, not the players. And so we've got to work with the clubs. We don't want to compete against the clubs. We want to be able to work with them to enhance their offering, whatever that offering is, whether it's driven by market forces or whatever it might be driven by, is working with those clubs with the aim of increasing membership, whether that be online membership or whether that be face-to-face membership, and increasing participation. And that's about keeping the game alive. And that's what we're focused on. Thank you.
Getting near the end, is anyone views they feel haven't been covered? Ben?
I can say a few things. Hi, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jenny's husband, Ben. In my spare time, I'm also president of the Zonal Federation, as that's Australia, New Zealand, and a few other ones, and vice president of the World Bridge Federation. So I thought it might be helpful just to say a few things about the World Bridge Federation view of all of this. First of all, World Bridge Federation generally pays a lot of attention to what's happening in Australia and New Zealand. Australia and New Zealand are usually very innovative in what we're doing in Bridge. We are quite a big contributor to World Bridge Administration. So Laura Kelso, for example, is more or less the top director for the World Bridge Federation. So we get a lot of airplay, which is really good. This particular set of projects with Kate and Jenny and looking at online bridge and a hybrid bridge, that certainly has profile at the World Bridge Federation. It's an issue around the world. Stephen has some horrifying statistics from the US where a number of clubs have just completely died, basically. Numbers are down terribly. So the whole issue of who helps where to go to a hybrid form of the game, basically. There will be face-to-face, there will be online. They can both be successful and in fact support each other. I personally play both. Sometimes I simply don't have time to play face-to-face, so I play online. Other times I prefer to play face-to-face for a variety of reasons. It works. The outcomes of this will be of interest to the World Bridge Federation and other federations around the world. The WBF point of view is that we should be facilitating connection, communication, information sharing to lead to a better result all around the world. On the cheating thing, I don't want to say a lot about the cheating thing. It's kind of, there's a lot of it. Honestly, there is. But a lot of it's pretty basic, pretty low level. It's very easy to cheat at Bridge, no matter what the format of the game is. But to cheat in a sophisticated way is surprisingly hard. It's very hard in your brain to consistently cheat. So cheats typically tend to do it in a very simple way. That's about all they can cope with. So it actually makes them relatively easy to catch. The technological tools are now increasingly in place to identify cheats on a statistical basis. The laws of the game are changing to support using statistics to identify and prosecute cheats. And the disciplinary processes of the major federations, the major zonal federations, the World Bridge Federation, are now much more structured and much better at putting people through a fair process, but one that leads to appropriate conviction for cheating. One last thing, on a more positive note, the International Olympic Committee is very interested in online gaming, esports, all that sort of stuff. They are running their second, basically, esports games in Singapore this year in June. It's called the Olympic Esports Week. It's running in Singapore for like 4 days. We are trying to participate in that. They like what we're talking about, and there's a variety of ways in which we can present it. One is via Real Bridge, another is via a thing called Live Bridge, which is playing on tablets, but you can do it both in the room, more or less, but you can also do it quite remotely. Yeah, so there's a lot of potential there. So we really want to showcase the potential for Bridge to be participated in a wide variety of formats and ways. So maybe we get in this year, maybe we don't, but we are trialling a variety of technologies in world tournaments, and hopefully we'll see them appear in more tournaments here as well. So we think it's very positive. Like the positive side of online is it does enable more people to play the game in the way that works for them. So from a World Bridge Federation point of view, and I certainly hope from all of your points of view, we should view it as an opportunity. If you have any more questions, I'm very happy to talk more, but I think I've talked enough right now.
Thanks, Look, I won't wind it up there because I think people are probably about ready to go and get some dinner. Just one last thing, just what we're going to do next. So we're collating the feedback from this session and the other session that we had. The survey's gone out. As I say, you've still got time to complete the survey if you haven't. And if you're interested in getting involved in the task force, or you've just got some more views that come to you overnight, you can talk to any of us on the committee, and we're more than happy to listen to you. And our next sort of concrete step is that we're going to produce something for the ABF in April, so not very long.
I thought it was going to be a survey for like the administrators and the people who run it, and separate from the players one.
There is one gone out to all clubs. Should have gone, we sent it to all the states to distribute.
Right.
It's on, should be on the ABF website as well.
Okay.
I can put it, we can make sure it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's got, like in Victoria it's gone out, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I just sent it to
It
all
should have gone out. If you haven't got it, it is on the ABF site.
It's there.
Yeah. Right, so I thought that was really good. Thank you very much for all the contributions. Thanks very much.
Thank you.